Hello, and welcome to today's Decay, where we celebrate births and beginnings and everything important since the dawn of time. January 18th edition. Getting ahead of myself here. Yes. 1877, Karl Hans Strobel was born, and Strobel is Strobel. He was a very early weird fiction writer and editor. Here is in Germany, starting in like the pre-World War I era. Here is one of his anthology collections from 1917, an original printing. It's very delicate, but it's so beautiful. That artwork, twisted, wonderful, weird, love it. Lemuria has only recently, like in the last couple of years, been translated by one Joe Bandel. Most of it has just kind of languished in solely the German language for the last 100 years or so. Pretty wild to think. It's really twisted, really dark. The Head, we read in our weird fiction group, like book club, and it like really absolutely fantastic. There's a mermaid one I read as well that's really good, but like this is all like hidden in like a foreign language forever, for some very interesting reasons. Not only was he a writer, but he was also a champion of others as weird fiction, including being the publisher of the first weird fiction magazine, the Orchid Garden. I'm going to keep it in it's wrapped in plastic and it's going to stay that way. But this is an original 1919 magazine, the Orchid Garden, which like, what wonderful artwork, huh? All of the artwork. They were reprinting and translating into German Edgar Allan Poe, many other 1800s writers, because there wasn't really like a weird fiction scene that like existed yet. It was really this Weird Tales magazine starting to be published in 1923, 4 years after this, that slowly built up its own circle of people. And even then, that was kind of slow going. It was really like it picked up inertia throughout the decade of the 20s and really hit its stride in the 30s, I would say. But that's neither here nor there to the Orchid Garden, which you can't spell Strobel without hand sign Evers. And they collaborated together, and a lot of Evers's work is in here. He was deemed like the German Edgar Allan Poe, but I don't know that you have Evers without Strobel. They kind of like, yeah, go team. Great teamwork. Check out Joe Bandel's translations. Joe Bandel also had a series of books published by Sidereal Press that are hand-signed Evers books, but Strobel has the Lemuria volumes 1 and 2 for the translations are on Joe Bandel's personal site. This time it's personal. Do check it out. Really fascinating stuff, especially when you think like you've reached the end of the internet, like you know all there is to know, and then something like this comes along and your mind is expanded, and like how much more of that is there out there, and that's really fun to think. Yeah. Claire Winger Harris, born today, 1891. She was a weird fiction, science fiction, fantasy writer very early on in the 20s and 30s, at a time where women were not really writing, or rather they wanted to, and like fandom and all of their infinite wisdom weren't really accepting women writers. Like ridiculous. So well done, Clara Winger Harris, for not giving a damn and doing it anyway. History has judged all these parties accordingly, and you win. Albert Neutzel, born today, 1901, who was the first famous Monster magazine cover artist prior to Basil Gogos. Everybody knows Basil Gogos. But truly, the first like dozen or so covers of famous Monsters magazine, apart from the ones that were photos, were done by Albert Neutzel. And here's a Neutzel right here. Here's a Neutzel for you to ogle. Yeah, what else? Martin Goodman, born today, 1908, who was the publisher of Timely Comics. Timely being the prior chapter of Marvel Comics. So Marvel Comics #1, like that iconic late 30s, early 40s cover art of the Human Torch, where he eventually winds up like fighting the Submariner, etc., etc., etc. That's all Timely Comics and put together by Martin Goodman. So you all think Stan Lee, you know, the Marvel Universe rises and sets over Stan Lee, and Martin Goodman actually is just over the horizon line, but they're existing, and we wouldn't be where we are today without him, whatever that's worth. 1963 today, Ghoulardi's Shock Theater premiered. This is the iconic Ghoulardi TV show, the one where there's like no set and there's just like a light, he's like underlit, and it's just like, you know, speaking off the top of his head with like, you know, just total chaos, and resulted in 2, I think, subsequent TV shows following this one, because like Cleveland just could not get enough Ghoulardi. There was no end to their needs for more and more Ghoulardi to stay sick and turn blue. That's it. January 18th from us to you. Till tomorrow. Goodbye.